So Russia has now spent more time trying to take over Ukraine than the Soviet Union did defeating Nazi Germany in World War II. That's right. We're 1,418 days into Putin's special military operation, and back in 1945, this timeline meant the Allied occupation of Berlin and the fall of the Third Reich. Today, we're discussing Chasiv Yar, Pokrovsk, and Soledar. Now stick around to the end of today's video. We've got a recap of the more than $700,000 that you all provided units of the Ukrainian armed forces in 2025 alone. It is a staggering amount, and you all should be so incredibly proud of the impact you made. Again, at the end of today's video, we've got a recap there as well as some thank you videos from the units that received the aid. Now, turning to the Russian mill bloggers, not happy about this comparison to the Great Patriotic War. Normally they like that, but when you're talking about the duration of the conflict, not so much. And a note of context, Russia refers to the Great Patriotic War as the period of time between the Nazi invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941 and the fall of the Third Reich in May of 1945. Of course, we know the World War II did extend a bit before 1941. Maxim Klishnikov says, quote, "So the Ukrainian war has now lasted longer than the Great Patriotic War. It's safe to say the long-standing propaganda slogan, 'We can do it again,' has certainly failed. We can't. In the fifth year of the trench warfare in Ukraine, both the leadership and top command centers of Ukraine are intact. The bridges across the Dnipro and major railway junctions are intact. And our infantry is forced to pay with their bodies for their slow advances. All of this is already leading to irreversible upheavals within the Russian Federation after the war. My heart is very heavy. I'm restraining my emotions as best I can. It's already clear that the United States and China will reap the benefits of this war, while the Russians are left with blood, ruin, and losses. This is undoubtedly outplaying everyone and a triumph of Russian foreign policy." Of course, that last segment there, a little tongue-in-cheek. Military informant, another Russian war correspondent, said the duration of the full-scale military actions in Ukraine equaled the duration of the Great Patriotic War. It's silly to draw parallels, but it makes you think about the results, as well as how many more days, months, and years everything can last, and what consequences it will lead to. Now, he's not going to draw comparisons, but we will, for sure, both to World War II and World War I. I think it's important to give a little context as to how slow Russia is progressing in areas of the East. Now, quick note on this sweatshirt. I feel like I'm going to get ahead of this because yesterday I made a video, had the sweatshirt on, ton of comments about what is that, where can you find it. This was a gift from a Ukrainian MiG-29 pilot, call sign Yellowtail29. We had him on the channel a couple months ago to do an interview. Awesome guy. And when I was in Ukraine, he sent this over where I was staying as just a gift. Again, very, very, very nice guy. So cool one here on the sleeve. You've actually got the drones and the missiles that he's intercepted in his aircraft. I'll link all of his information in the description below. If you want to grab one of these sweatshirts, go for it. I don't have like a code or a discount or anything. We should have probably sorted that out and said, Yellowtail, hook us up, man. But yeah, head over there, pick up his stuff. It's awesome guy and really cool setup, right? But anyways, let's head over to a quick map to give you an idea of some of the areas we're talking about today. I want to start with Chasiv Yar. Remember Chasiv Yar? I feel like we haven't talked about that in a little while, but it gives you an idea of some of these areas that Russia has said they took months, even years ago, that are still being contested. That's going to be the theme of today's video. So Chasiv Yar, if we zoom in here on the map, on Deep State map, is an area just west of Bakhmut. In fact, as the crow flies, if we go city center to city center, we've got about 13 kilometers. Chasiv Yar, just 2 days ago, Rybar said, quote, "The situation in Chasiv Yar remains complex. There is Ukrainian presence in the southeastern part of the city. The 20% claimed by enemy maps is not accurate, but several streets with private housing remain under stable control of the Ukrainian formations." Are you kidding me? Like, was it almost 3 years ago? That's certainly more than 2 years ago, Bakhmut fell. I think it was 2 years ago, Bakhmut fell. 13 kilometers to the west. The next city has not yet been taken by Russia. I mean, if we are generous and we go out here to the west a little bit to the kind of the extent of Deep State Map's red territory, 17 kilometers. Again, we're going to put this in some context for World War I and World War II here in just a minute. And it's not just Bakhmut. If we go up a little further north here, you'll remember this area, Soledar. A couple days ago, it was 3 years to the date that Russia took Soledar. Do you see how zoomed in we are on the map to see from Soledar to the front lines? Look at this. We'll go from the western edge of the city, give them the benefit of the doubt. 4.91, less than 5 kilometers. I mean, city center, maybe 6 kilometers. You see, like, It's nothing. When you zoom out just a little bit, it's not even noticeable on the map. Now, when you point this out, undoubtedly, we did a couple days ago, there were plenty of Russia supporters that said, yeah, but you won't talk about Avdiivka, will you? What's going on there? Well, let's go to Avdiivka to give you an idea. This is another area. You can see the purple-red blur here. The purple is the area taken by Russia in 2014. The red, then, is territory taken by Russia since 2022. So let's go with Avdiivka. Right here in the center of the map. I'll move it back a little bit. Let's make sure let's go right on the line, right? Exactly on the line of control there from 2014. And we'll go all the way out here to the south of Dobropilia that has recently been cleared by Ukrainian forces. 50 kilometers. All right? You understand how little territory that is? Again, shifting out big picture, it is a little fraction in Ukraine's east. So this is where I thought it would be worth getting into a couple comparisons. If we go to World War II, the D-Day landings in Normandy, France, 1944, if you look at this stretch here from Omaha Beach, somewhat heavily contested, some might say, right, to move 58 kilometers inland to Vire Normandy right here, 17 days, 1-7, less than a month. It took Allied forces to breach the bridgehead, land forces across the English Channel onto a contested beach, break through the German lines, and push through all of these hedgerows and German positions 50 kilometers. So that Avdiivka movement in 4 years, 50 kilometers, the Allies at D-Day did it in 17 days. And look, we're kind of cherry picking here. I got it. I'm trying to pick like big events in military history to at least give a little bit of context. And I know what happens here, where people will say, this is not maneuver warfare. That doesn't count. You have to go to, this is more like trench warfare, attrition warfare of World War I. So let's do that. But let's not go to the beginning, where we did see, 1914, even parts of 15, there was a degree of maneuver warfare, largely both sides finding out that it was not going to work like they had hoped. And we get into the trench warfare, the stagnant fighting of 16, 17, and then at the end of 18, as the war is coming to a close, we saw a last major German push, the 1918 German Spring Offensive, right? So there's tanks on the battlefield, there's aircraft overhead, artillery like mankind has never seen, mines and wire obstacles. The lines have been static for years at this point, with massive fortifications built on both sides. The German 1918 Spring Offensive, shown here on the map, and it's not a great legend here to be able to show this, but if you see the extent of the breakthrough here, from Cambrai to sort of near Cantini, we go over the map here to modern day, to just use Google Maps as a measurement, 70 kilometers. 70 kilometers was reached in 4 months' time during the German 1918 Spring Offensive. If you want to talk about stagnant fronts and trench warfare, attritional warfare, nobody can move, nobody can gain an inch. Isn't World War I the best example that we have? Yet after all of that, Germany, with U.S. forces and allies pouring in to the Western Front, was still able to advance 70 kilometers in 4 months. Does that put into a little bit of context the 4 years at Avdiivka? Do you see how slow this is going for Russian forces and how costly it is for them? This actually plays into a bit of a predicament facing Russian commanders, especially in the East right now. According to this write-up by Alexei Chadiev that I found through Grandpa Roy, it kind of comes down to the Russians can put together a large-scale offensive now, and that just means they lose a lot of soldiers and equipment now. Or they can send just a few, carry out these flag-planting operations, and a lot still die just over a longer period of time. Now, they essentially say that Ukraine has created this kill zone near the front, something we've seen playing out for months on end now. But they said that the soldiers are starting to pick up on this. The commanders know what they're getting into. They say, quote, "Since this situation repeats itself not once or twice, our forces at all levels are increasingly less willing to advance at all. And that can be easily understood. It's an inevitable trade-off of kilometers for lives. And the very valuable lives of soldiers, those who actually know and are able to act in this kill zone, the untrained ones will simply die without any result. Therefore, the problem of map coloring is not just about headquarters lies. It's also about the difficult moral choice that commanders make. If I really go all out in an unprepared offensive now, I'll lose many people. But if I just send a few teams forward to plant flags and report on the drone footage about the physical presence, I'll save lives and equipment. However, as a result, this leads to situations where it's impossible to request strikes on already taken positions, neither by artillery or the Air Force or even drones. They say everything there is already ours. And as a result, we still have to pay with lives. So what he's getting to is you can put a large assault force forward and it's going to be incredibly costly and maybe some people break through. Conversely, these infiltration tactics where they regularly are pushing 1, 2, 3 Russian soldiers through at a time is working, and it's kind of saving equipment and in the short term saving lives. But then when they send that report up, it's reported as taken by Russian forces, so they cannot get the reinforcements or the fire support they need when they actually encounter Ukrainian resistance. This has been a problem for Russian forces for a while, and we are seeing it continue to spread and become more and more significant across the front. And to give you an idea of what they're running into, 414 MIGAR, Unmanned Systems Regiment, put together a roll-up of the first 7 months of 2025 that I'll play here in a minute. It's English language, so I'm not going to try to talk over it, where they say 7 months alone, verified on camera, 50,000 Russian soldiers removed, that would read that as killed and wounded, and more than 160 drones launched every hour. Here's their video.
The USF grouping launches the final broadcast of combat results for 7 months of 2025. More than 50,000 enemy troops have been removed from the so-called special military operation. That number equals the fully packed stands of Donbass Arena. Every 6 minutes, one occupier eliminated. We continue to apply pressure on the enemy. One target hit every 2 minutes. In total, nearly 170,000 enemy targets were hit, with an estimated value of $20 billion. All targets were verified within the situational awareness system Delta. Moving on to armor. 532 tanks hit, equivalent to a 72-meter-tall skyscraper. Estimated value nearly $1.5 billion. Over 830,000 combat missions in 7 months. On average, we launched 161 drones into the air every hour, twice the traffic of John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York. Our deep strikes caused monthly losses of $3 billion to the occupiers' oil refining sector. More than 350 targets hit, with a strike depth of over 1,500 kilometers. They could have been lighting up a European bike festival. Instead, our pilots lit them up. Over 5,500 enemy motorcycles hit. The enemy gathered this for years, expecting a long game. USFG drone pilots multiplied it all by 0. Nearly 2,500 artillery guns and howitzers taken out of action. Burn enemy vehicles, burn! Nearly 8,000 vehicles hit. If lined up into a single convoy, it would stretch over 60 kilometers, the distance from Pokrovsk to Donetsk. The fight continues. USFG birds deliver results effectively and relentlessly.
Now, it does seem like more and more Russian commanders are leaning towards small infiltration groups over large-scale assaults, although we do still see the occasional large mechanized assault. Shifting over here to an assessment in the Constantinivka area, kind of talking to that. This was just reported earlier today by Plyfra, an analyst over on X, where he says in the Ilanivka sector, so here to the southwest of Konstantinivka, 10 more Russians were found today in the village. 5 were destroyed. But nonetheless, we can observe a slow increase in their numbers in the village, which is a good sign of an ongoing process of consolidation. This, unfortunately, probably means the village might fall soon. Konstantinivka city, they say Russian forces continue sending in an absurd number of infantry in endless waves of groups of 1 to 2 soldiers, but they're destroyed in large numbers before they even reach cover. which results in them basically being denied entry into the city. But you're seeing here and elsewhere along the front these small groups moving forward one by one. Now, that's the situation at the front. Stepping back a little bit, we are seeing Russia focus more and more as temperatures plunge on knocking out the Ukrainian energy infrastructure. And just in the past couple of days, Ukrainian President Zelensky shared some footage along with a statement saying, quote, "This week, Russia launched nearly 1,100 attack drones against Ukraine, more than 890 aerial guide bombs, and over 50 missiles of various types, including ballistic, cruise, and even the medium-range Orishnik. And they specifically targeted targets that have no military significance, energy infrastructure, residential buildings. They deliberately waited for freezing weather to make things worse for our people. This is deliberate, cynical Russian terrorism and aimed directly at the people." In fact, Russian mill blogger Fighter Bomber talked to this earlier today where he said, quote, "It seems that General Frost has decided to come to our aid, perhaps for the first time in 4 years of war. Therefore, with a heavy heart and tears in our eyes, we must focus all of our efforts on disabling the enemy's energy infrastructure, gas, electricity, and heat." It's an interesting way of framing that from the Russian side. Guys, we hate to do this. We love you. We're doing this for your own good. We're going to have to knock out your ability to stay warm in winter. And we are seeing pictures already of pipes freezing over and just frigid conditions that the Ukrainian citizenry is now having to live in as their workers are doing everything they can to restore power day in and day out. Now, I mentioned that we're going to run through some of the fundraisers that we put together this past year, 2025. Over $700,000 donated by you all. That's insane. Understand that? Now, we've got a couple videos I'm going to play here, thank yous from the units going back over the course of the year, and then some pictures from the more recent ones that we're still waiting for the official videos. But this started out back with Ziggy's Paw. We teamed up with them to provide some drone jammers for the 26th Artillery. Here's that video.
Today we are in the field delivering some of the equipment, in particular our electronic warfare devices for Polish howitzers, Krabs. And I would like to say thanks to one of the people who donated and started their own fundraisers. It's Preston Stewart. Thank you for sharing the fundraising through your blog. Thanks to you, we got the jammers right on the Krab. This is one of your jammers, and we have another one, but we unfortunately cannot access the location now. Thank you very much for your international support and for mobilizing a lot of people from the USA and other countries. The equipment is working in the field and protecting our artillery from enemy FPV drones.
Thank you, Preston.
Thank you, Preston.
Next up, we worked with Ukraine Aid Operations to deliver multiple drones to a handful of different units, including the Ukrainian 73rd Special Operations Center. Here's a thank you from those guys.
Бійці 73-го центру ССО дякують за допомогу у вигляді тепловізійних дронів волонтерам благодійного фонду UAO. Окрема подяка YouTube-каналу Стюарта Престона за проведений збір коштів для нашого підрозділу. Слава Україні! Героям слава!
Then with Fella Hendricks over on Twitter, we worked with the Ukrainian 47th Mechanized Brigade, specifically our friend Sergey, to provide a couple vehicles to them and the 25th Airborne Brigade. Here's Sergey and his guys saying thank you.
Guys, our English not so great as your support, but we want to say you something.
Слава Україні! Героям слава! Україна! Понад усе!
We then went back with Ziggy's Paw, teamed up with the Azov International Battalion, picked up over $110,000 worth of equipment for their assaulters and their drone units. Here it is.
Hi everyone, we are here near Slovyansk today to say hi to you and deliver the equipment to Azov International Battalion. Thank you everyone who supported fundraiser from Preston Stewart. You helped us raise over $100,000, out of which we spent $93,000 for the equipment to the infantry. Basically, we got 10 AGM PVSs, 4 thermal imagers, and we got a lot of useful stuff for the drone team too, but our primary focus was infantry assault groups. Thank you very much for supporting them. This equipment will help them save their lives and operate during nighttime on their missions, which are very high risk. I hope you'll support our fundraisers in the future, and you will see updates from the guys' work and some of the videos following up soon.
Guys, thank you so much for your donations, and thank you to Ziggers Poor for making this all possible. Without you, we wouldn't be able to have this equipment, which is going to save lives and help us so much on the battlefield.
A random one there, while wandering around some headquarters facilities in Ukraine a couple weeks ago, saw a toolbox, picked it up. What do you know? It's one of the ones we provided through this fundraiser. After that, we teamed back up with Ukraine Aid Operations to provide multiple drones for the 3rd Assault Brigade and the 93rd Mechanized. Here they are showing off some of that equipment.
Ми бійці механізованого батальйону 3-ї окремої штурмової бригади висловлюємо щиру вдячність Престону Стюарту і його спільноті за надану нам допомогу. А саме, наземний роботизований комплекс, 2 нічних Mavic 3T, а також 3 днівних Mavic 3 Pro. Слава Україні! Героям слава!
Then with the holiday season approaching, we worked with Veterans for Ukraine, an organization doing Operation Teddy Bear, where they were providing gifts to a number of Ukrainian children in shelters, hospitals, and frontline communities. I was trying to link up with these guys to do some of these deliveries when I was in Ukraine about a week ago. They were so busy, like hit so many different locations in so few days that we just, our schedules didn't cross. But either way, we've got a couple pictures of their deliveries in Ukraine just a couple days ago. Then while there as well, met up with the Ziggers Paw folks for a recent campaign we just wrapped up for Achilles, the 429th Unmanned Systems Regiment. In that, another over $110,000 for interceptor drones. It's a mountain of drones. Can't wait to share the video of that with you guys because it's staggering how much that one campaign provided. While there as well, we were able to hand off some vehicles that are 2 of the vehicles. They're heading out east. You all came together in a very short period of time to provide 4 vehicles, 2 for the 26th Artillery and 2 for the 1st Azov Corps, both operating in the Slavyansk-Kramatorsk sector. Here's a look at a couple of those vehicles. All right, what's going on, everyone? Quick break from that warm YouTube studio in Tennessee, bringing you to Kyiv. We got Vegas recording back there, expert cameraman. We got 2 trucks I wanted to show you guys that you provided to Azov. Both of these are going to Kramatorsk later today. So just before Christmas, we put together this campaign through Cars for Ukraine. Awesome people, more details on them in a minute. But here we go. We got car number 4. I want to show you something up here. Freeze my ass off, by the way. This country is so cold this time of year. Armored plates. So this isn't just a random vehicle that's being sent out there with a really cool paint job, mind you, but Car for Ukraine, upon unit request, up armors the vehicle. So we've got armor throughout the door and on the window to increase the survivability for the soldiers. That'll take a finger off if you're not too careful. Now come around here, we got the second truck. So again, 2 trucks, these both going to Kramatorsk today. Pull up a map, take a look at Slavyansk, Kramatorsk. You can see how significant of a sector that is, how hot of a sector that is. These guys need the trucks. So all of the donors' names right here. We'll put that up on a couple different platforms. If you're on here, God, from the bottom of my heart, this is so incredible, the generosity. Like 2 or 3 weeks from these guys saying we need trucks to them being delivered at the front, which is incredible. And a quick note on Cars for Ukraine, which is just an awesome organization. In talking to the soldiers these last couple of days, a major issue is that they get these trucks sourced from throughout Europe and they've got problems. So they show up to the soldiers and they finally get the wheels they need, and they've got to put $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 into getting the thing repaired, and they don't have the parts out at the front. Not these guys. So it's not just a new paint job. They're redoing everything. You've got new tires under the hood, all new, the up armor, everything. So when this gets to the front, the guys, specifically here, Azov, they can put this into the fight that day. And that's because of you all. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And last but certainly not least, we're back with Ukraine Aid Operations, working with the 2nd Mechanized Battalion Chaos Company, their drone company of the 3rd Assault Brigade. We were fortunate to meet up with these guys in Izium. We were trying to get them, they said, could we please get 5, maybe 10 thermal drones? It's really, really important out here in the east as foggy conditions set in. We tried our best, and instead of 5 to 10, we got them 15, and there was enough after that to get their drone unit another vehicle. As you know, vehicles are in high demand and constantly being hit and destroyed out there near the front. Here's a quick thank you, delivering those drones, in fact, to 3AB. All right, what's going on, everyone? We're here in Izium with the 3rd Assault Brigade. We've got 5 of the drones that you all helped provide. So 5 of 10, 12, 15 that are on their way. These are some of the thermal Mavics. You can talk to the guys in 3AB, 2nd Battalion specifically, that really needed some help looking through some of the fog and the tough weather out in the east. So y'all came through in a matter of a couple weeks. It's not even New Year's yet, and we've got these in their hands. So just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much. I'm here with Linguist and kind of walking us through all the work they're doing. These are going to come in handy. It's so incredibly generous of all of you to come through like this. So again, thank you so much coming here from Izzy and with 3AB.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much. It is incredible the impact that you all are having through this, right? Through social media or however you're consuming this content, to be able to team up with other people that have the same interests in mind, same morals, and want to contribute to something like this. And it has a direct impact where it's needed most. So thank you all so much. You should be very, very proud of what you've been able to do. But that's all we got for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.